Hi, I'm Karen Sigler. I'm the Special Collections Catalog Librarian for the Whitliff Collections. And this exhibit we have on Molly Ivins is part of the Southwestern Writers Collection. We wanted to do a little bit of biography about Molly for some people that may not know who she is, because she's more of a different generation, I think, but she crosses generations. A lot of people really enjoy her writing. So this is the biographical section of it to give people a little background on her. Her professional writings. And within the case, there is a draft of a review that she wrote on Gavel Gets Grit and Glory about Billy Clayton. And if you look in the case, you can see some of her, this is her actual annotations on the draft.
Okay.
And with a collection of some of her books that she's written. And then as you move down, these are just some book jackets from some of the books that she's written. And she's also noted for giving President Bush the nickname Shrub.
Shrub.
Yeah. And that book we actually have in the collection was in Japanese and German and French editions of that Bushwhacked.
Okay,
Her on exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you move around here, we have a photograph that was actually taken in her house when they did the packing, because her brother, Andrew Ivins, donated her personal library. These are not her papers, but her personal libraries. So I was surprised when I did the initial inventory to find so many inscriptions and so many letters laid in from different either authors, publishers, and friends that she kept. She kept everything. And this is just a brief, because there were over 3,500 titles, and these are just a random selection to try to give you an overview of some of the subjects she liked. She liked a lot of mysteries. She had over 1,000 mysteries in her personal library.
That's what I was wondering, what kind of books she had. Besides, I saw that there was a lot of biographies.
Lots of biographies, a lot of nonfiction, a lot of fiction, historical fiction, but I would say mysteries took up a very big chunk. So this is just trying to, and this Bible in here too is actually hers. The bookmarker is actually hers. And these are just samplings when some of the staff went out to her house to pack up the collection and move it. These are some of the photographs from the actual move. And this, because there were so many, it was really hard to decide what to put in the collection, so we just tried to have a varied selection. It doesn't come anywhere close to encompassing what was in her personal library. So what we've done here is just take samplings of some of the inscriptions that some of the authors made to her. I guess the most surprising is Nancy Reagan. And then Jim Hightower, who I think was good friends with Molly. Mm-hmm. And so we have a letter that he also had she had left laid into the book, aside from the inscription. And then we also have, these are a couple examples of her annotations and her markings in the books that there's a lot of them within the collection that we don't have here. We just have a few right here, but they're all, and the pen you see, any pens or anything you see laying in the books are actually as they were found. So we haven't removed them at this point.
Oh, wow, okay.
I was wondering, why did Molly's brother, Andrew, decide to donate the books to Texas State instead of, let's say, UT or somewhere in Austin at college?
We didn't know that.
We don't.
Actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We know that a book appraiser did suggest to Andrew that he donate her collection to us because he thought it would be well taken care of. And some people just aren't interested in somebody's personal library. They want the actual papers where they've actually edited and what they've taken before they publish. Mm-hmm. And so actually there was a lot more in this collection than I would have thought. I thought it was just a collection of her personal library, not expecting to see all the inscription and all the letters that were actually in the private collection. And this is just getting the titles and making notations about what was actually in the books. Not specific inscriptions yet. That will come later, because hopefully we'll publish a bibliography. And we divided it up into genre headings, and it was mainly so you could get a feel for what she was interested in reading.
Okay.
You know, and that's how we know there was a lot of mysteries and there's a lot of biographies. That's kind of how we separated out the collection.
Yes. Okay. Have there been a lot of people that stopped by here, like the first opening on April 7th?
It's been
since
rather
then?
quiet. I mean, there's been quite a few, but it's been quiet so far, but we're starting to get the publicity out because the exhibit only opened last, Monday on the 7th. So it hasn't been open long, and we're going to try to have an event hopefully in June. So we can bring some people, speakers in and exhibit a few more of her pieces.
How would you describe Molly to a person from, let's say, another state that hasn't ever heard of her before?
That's a hard one. I'm not sure how you describe it. I thought she had a way with her words, and that's why I think people liked her so much, of really making a point, whether it's political, and calling probably politicians on some of their behavior, their policies. But she did it with humor. There was a lot of humor in her private collection too, so she had a way of injecting the humor and making people realize, oh gosh, I don't know how to describe her. I mean, she's just Molly. I mean, if you read some of her stuff, that really puts her in perspective. She had a different way of describing, she used her Texas background a lot to inject the humor. And maybe we understand it. I don't think we understand it probably any more than maybe somebody from somewhere else. I think they still understand the humor and what she was trying to get across.
You state your name and
Hi,
position.
I'm Michelle Miller. I'm the Media Relations and Publications Specialist here at the Wycliffe Collections. And I was just thinking, Karen, about how we got the collection, and I'm wondering if it was through John Payne, who was our appraiser. It's possible that Andrew hired him to appraise the collection, and John suggested us as a location for Molly's collection to live, her library to live, because we do focus so much on Southwestern writers, and her scope of writing, being a journalist, covers so many subjects that are intrinsic to the spirit of place that's so important to what we do here, that it seemed like a good fit. I'm not 100% sure, I think, but that sounds like it may have been the route that happened when it came to us.
Okay. And the books are going to be here till July 7th, and where will they go after that? Will they go back to Andrew? Or?
Well, after that, what I'll do is fine-tune the genre headings to try to get the bibliography started, and then after that, we'll decide along with the assistant curator, Steve Davis. He's the assistant curator for the Southwestern Writers Collection, and he'll make a decision on where they should be housed, whether they stay with Southwestern Writers or go to the main collection. And a lot of it will stay with Southwestern Writers just because of the inscriptions and letters and stuff I think he'll want to keep in the collection. But others, maybe the mysteries that aren't by Texas writers or writers that we collect, then those will probably go to the main. And we're talking about doing a book plate that will go in each book that she owned.
Okay.
So just to be clear, the collection does belong to Texas State. So the library was donated by Andrew Ivins to the Wycliffe Collections. So it is part of the Texas State collection. And as Karen said, then we'll preserve the ones that are part of our collecting genre at the Southwestern Writers Collection, and then the rest of them will be incorporated into the main library stack. So,
and they'll all be in the online catalog, so there'll be a note that it's from the Molly Ivins Library, so you'll be able to track it that way and pull up all the ones, whether they were in Maine or stayed with Southwestern Writers.
That way the designation of the library collection belonging to Molly is cohesive, and people will always know when they have that book in their hands that it is part of Molly Ivins' personal library.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Is there any article or book that you both have that's a favorite of yours that Molly wrote?
Gosh, mine are more some of the stuff that she wrote, the columns that she wrote about, especially about her dog. And I won't go into it here, but if you want to know about her dog that she had, that's pretty humorous. I mean, the humor she injected in that was, you'll just have to look it up. Okay?
Were there anything that was surprising when you were looking through the collection, when you were collecting the books at her home in Austin?
I was just surprised about the people did send her books and leave inscriptions for her that had nothing to do with politics. I'd always thought of her as pretty much a political writer and columnist, and these were books from all types, from cooking to poetry to literature. I mean, it wasn't just political in nature. And so that kind of surprised me, because I wouldn't have expected that as much, that people admired her from all ranges of life. You know, I hope this will get people interested in reading some of her work, some of her columns, to go back and take a look, because that's what I did as I started reading it and getting to kind of get a better feel for Molly as a person. You know, I miss her just like everybody else.